at one bit. Like Xiaohu played so comfortably against it and it had no impact, as you just said. And for RNG, let's come back to blue side, because there are so many good jungle picks that Xiaolongbao can access, especially this Lee Sin that was part of the defeat against WE in game number 1.
We do get the Zoe for Plex, though. This has been one of the biggest priority mid laners here in the LPL. Just such an incredibly strong pick. In the early game, you get priority over just about everyone. And when these games have been all about the early skirmishes, having that priority in mid is so, so important.
And remember what we talked about before, one of the safer blinds going into the mid lane at the moment as well. So WE are starting to ban away some of the threats that can really harass or at least go toe-to-toe with Plex. So a bit more priority to the mid lane this game seems to be the call here from WE. And for RNG, we're just back to the solo lanes again. We've got a top laner and a mid laner to fill out. And a couple of them have been banned away, like the Silas from game 1.
And you can see the direction that RNG are already starting to go towards with the Lee Sin for Xiaolongbao, with the Leona as well for Ming. Early aggression is the name of the game. Fighting for these dragons and finding early pressure, maybe even fighting for the Herald as well. There's a lot of damage available to them, and especially once you get the BF sword on Aphelios, he's going to be able to follow up big time.
Plus noting the Leona as well, on top of a Zoe. I always love, because you can predict where a Zoe's going to go with Portal Jump, and you can Solar Flare the original position of the Zoe ult. So predictability is always great for a Leona support, and Ming is one of the best Leonas in the league. But this time we're going towards the Aatrox, taken first by WE. Get it out of the hands of Langxing.
This is what I like to see. Morgan on a carry.
Yeah.
He's going to be going up towards the top lane, and the question will be, what's Langxing or maybe Xiaohu again going to be picking up against it? Because we've seen them shut him down in game number 1, and I expect they've got a plan for this.
Okay, Syndra first, but this means top lane last. Is it going to be something that can take on the Aatrox? Now, in the past, against the picks of Set, we've seen the Vayne called the counter. But against the Aatrox, probably not the right idea. Unless I'm wrong. Could be, who knows. We'll see.
I doubt that the Vayne will be locked in. They've hovered it both games so far. I think it's a callback to the fact that Uzi is not able to play right now. And it's going to be the Cannon locked in for the top lane to go up against the likes of Morgan. And maybe just a little call out from Langxing saying,
I can do it better.
You call that a Cannon, let me show you a Cannon.
I like that. The BM in the league always hits its high point. But what's going to be in the jungle here? Beishang is a big Gragas player. It's Olaf and Gragas that sit highest in his pool. And into this comp, yep, why not? So back to the Gragas, back to the roots here for WE. And I see a lot more comfort across the board compared to that game number 1.
Yeah, when you take a look at the compositions, once again, great skirmish coming out, especially with the likes of the Lee Sin and the Syndra, as well as that Leona. A lot of early game power once you start to get those ultimates. Same can be said on the other side for WE, though. Zoe, as we said, lots of priority in the early game, and especially once you hit 6, you can really have an impact on the early skirmishes, but bullet time alone can win you these dragon fights.
And I think coming back to Plex is one of the better Zoes we've seen in the league as well. And when you have some of the mid laners or laners itself in the league who are not as experienced, like people like Xiaohu, smaller champion pools always benefit, right? That's like the easiest thing to say in League of Legends. If you're not as good as someone else, go to the champions you know and can play better, because that's the best color in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Zoe as well happens to be pretty much the most picked mid laner currently.
Also true.
It's very easy to just fall back on the solid meta.
I give you so much.
But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong though. Zoe is a pick that we've seen Plex on in the past, and it's a pick that you can have a lot of impact on the game. But we do have, I think Zoe is one of the most polarizing picks in the mid lane, because when you have a really good Zoe, like someone like Knight, you can see a massive impact that they have on the game.
Sure.
But quite often Zoe is one of these picks where, sure, their score will be good at the end of the game, but they don't really have that much impact. And there's a very clear divide between the good and the great Zoes.
It's true. So we're going to see if Plex can facilitate, can be one of the great Zoes here in this game, because WE need to step up. That was a really punishing first game, and RNG dictated the pace from minute 1 to minute 30, whenever it ended, all right? The game was quick. Let's see if RNG can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. The game was relatively quick.
Oh, here we go.
Some quick JOs for WE.
WE didn't have the fans. There's only like 9 of them. RNG had like a full page. Well,
I mean, are you surprised that RNG has more fans than
well,
WE?
WE is the older organization. I mean, WE is the organization that started, alongside IG in 2011, back before we even had the LPL.
I don't know if you know this, but RNG's main AD carry Uzi is probably the most famous person in the whole of China, not even just in esports.
And hey, let's be honest, since WE have lost Mystic, have lost Xie, a lot of fans would have jumped ship. A lot of fans would have actually followed Xie to DMO. And, I mean, I guess you can't follow them
to the LCK.
We're moving to Korea
later.
because Mystic's gone to the Afrika Freaks. And to be fair, I would, after the way Mystic was playing before the LCK paused, like, he looks fantastic. He looks revitalized.
Yeah, he's found his home over in the LCK. He's doing well for himself.
He is from Korea. So that would be partly why as well.
The same can be said for Betty as well. Obviously coming over from the LMS, he's very much found his new home in RNG. He's been looking fantastic this season, and I'm sure he as a player is happy to get this opportunity to flex a little bit in the LPL before Uzi does come back, because it's got to feel a little bit bad to be on a roster with Uzi as an AD carry, because the odds of you getting play are pretty low, but he's finding the opportunity here.
People like Abel and Winker have had a similar situation, but remember, there was a great exodus of the LMS tops coming over, or top players, I should say, coming over to the LPL. I'm talking about Casa, I'm talking about Sword Art, Maple, people that we knew from Flash Wolves. Betty was the final element alongside Xiaoxi, who's now on E-Star. And Betty does look great, so he's getting his time in the sun.
Nice little hook there from Missing, getting onto Betty in the back line. Just going to be trading back and forth. And we see this pretty much every single time in the bottom lane. Missing, Dredge line will be on cooldown for just a couple more seconds. It means that Ming and Betty can walk away.
Bottom lane hits level 2 first here from WE. He's going to get a bit of vision towards the Tri-Brush as well. Spot out Shalom Bao, who is heading towards the bottom lane with a full topside clear. So, bit of priority there.
And we'll see how this matchup in the mid lane is going to go. I'm not going to pretend like I know the Zoe Syndra matchup particularly well, but I know that Syndra doesn't have very many bad matchups. And once you hit 6, you can kill just about anyone with the click of an R. And Zoe is not a tanky champion.
No. Yeah, no, that's true. Sorry.
I'm glad you agree.
I definitely agree. Remember before, the one thing I will say is that to play against the predictability of Zoe with a portal jump is always a plus. And Syndra can do that quite easily with Scatter the Weak. So for Xiaohu, I definitely favor him personally in the matchup, especially in this early level. He has the shove, and he's really pushing it against Plex. Some good trading already. And Shalom Bao's nearby, so if Plex ever pushes out, we're going to see a repeat of game number 1. And Plex might not be able to play, because that was hard game 1. He couldn't play whatsoever.
Yeah, Plex had a really rough time. Game number 1, pretty much just camped. And it was, the first gank uses his flash, dies anyway. And then 2 repeat ganks during that flash cooldown. Langxing was just set up for massive, massive plays throughout the rest of the game. And obviously, it all came from that earlier fight down in the bottom side where he was able to get a couple of kills. Bei Shang, though, he wants to set things up for his bottom lane now as he moves towards Betty and Ming. Diving a Leona can be tough, though. She has a whole lot of lockup.
Depends on Bei Shang here. Gragas and the Nautilus. The ability to dive super high. And Bei Shang going to clear this camp. He's hit level 4. But at the moment, I think it's simply just shadowing. I think it's simply being here. They're still thinking about it, but the Lee Sin is topside.
It's just going to be the vertical split of the jungles here. But now Bei Shang going to be moving to meet in this top side. Plex is pinging out that he knows Xiaolong Bao is going to be there over at the chickens.
Ward on the camp as well, so they know Xiaolong Bao as a definitive is here. So Bei Shang moves to be nearby, but not sure what could happen.
And already in this game, you can see the power of this Kennen pick. When it's in the right matchup, when it's in the right situation, you can build such a dramatic CS lead so effectively. But Bei Shang coming into the mid lane, and he's going to get straight onto Zhao Hu. Sleepy Trouble Bubble. We'll get a little bit of CC in the meantime. Zhao Meng's in trouble. Betty misses with the Q, but it's going to be followed up with Infernum. And Missing will be the next target. Gravitum is going to be there in just a second or two. The root's going to go down. There's Ming to follow up with the Leona CC, and one more auto finishes the job. 2 kills in the 2v2. But Betty dies to the tower.
Yeah, turret ramping, gotta hurt, but 2 kills for the trade against the support here. Ming will be able to shove out the wave, make it reset. And we didn't see anything from the mid lane 2v2, so net win for RNG across the map. We'll see this once again. It was missing starting the engage, but the Zenith played on the tippy toe of Jelmong's foot. And the early damage here, when you have yourself a bit of Calibrum plus the Gravitum, missing going to get rooted down as well. So 2 early kills for an Aphelios yet again. And tonight the story has been about Aphelios getting early gold and what happens because of it. And I think we're going to rinse and repeat with a BF sword already picked up.
And missing once more action,
no.
and he's found a minion for himself. Not ideal. We've had quite a few hooks hitting minions today here in the LPL, but you know, the fact that, Plex so close to going down! Scatter won't quite finish the kill, and Zhao Hu's out of mana. Missing's like, alright, I'd take a kill onto the mid lane. It forces the flash out of Zhao Hu. Now everyone backs away once again.
Alright, super close. really, really
Where did
close.
that come from?
I think Xiao just thought he had enough damage, and he almost did. He forced the flash out of Plex.
Yeah, and I mean, it cost him both of his summoners, though,
probably not
in the
worth
meantime. And RNG now going to set up for this dragon. But Zhao Hu, I love how he just is more than happy to go for a flash play. More than happy to just try and find a 1v1.
Every single time. He's 20 CS up in that lane, and he just got a Cloud Dragon as well. So a bit of ultimate CDR added onto the Syndra, who already has dominance in this mid lane.
Yeah, and you can see the next Drake will be the Infernal, which means we're going to have some tanky late game teams because the Rift is either going to be Ocean or Mountain, both of which will either give you regen or those resistances. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for whoever loses control of the game early to be able to find anything in the later game.
Well,
fights.
Ocean for the side of RNG and Aphelios, I guess, at least in, but also look at Langxing. He's gone Conqueror. So the same as we saw from Morgan, and Conqueror, but the same as last game, indicates
Ming's going in onto Xiaomeng, just going to force a lot of damage, and they're going to turn straight onto Missing as well. Betty pushing the damage forward, pushing and punishing the bottom lane of WWE.
he's just so far ahead. Now he has Calibrum, so he can poke them at their turret. And Misfortune's going to be left on an island while Missing goes and roams, but bottom lane's get it back, so he's like, okay, thankfully, no one's there to kill me. But Langxing, here we go. He's got the Cutlass.
Yeah, wants to go for the fight onto Morgan. Can't quite find the stun. Nice little sidestep from Morgan there. Morgan doing a good job of actually staying relatively even in the CS. However, at this point, Langxing has a perfect position in the lane where he's going to be able to just freeze that up pretty much indefinitely. Morgan's going to have a hard time keeping up.
You can see why last game Langxing didn't want to lane against Morgan in that top lane. Well, that lane swap was so crucial to RNG taking control. This time around, really good lane phase for Langxing by himself. It is going to be the AD cannon with the Conqueror, so already with a big start in the Cutlass and a big trade that just shows us a little bit of frisky action.
See a little bit of trading back and forth here. 2-1 on the scoreboard at this point in the game. You're raising your eyebrows at me.
I said the word frisky and I thought I'd get, something out of you, but never mind.
Okay.
This is so hard. I miss my role.
Do you want to do play-by-play?
No. Look, this is a challenge. I do enjoy this, but it's very hard. Okay.
All right, Rift Herald is on the map as we hit 9 minutes into the game. Xiaolong Bao dashing away, and the Scuttle are going to be taken on up by WE, and they're actually going to have priority on the Herald here. Langxing does have the Slicing Maelstrom, could roam down from the top side, but Betty once again just going to be chilling. He's nowhere near as this fight kicks off.
I mean, he's the most fed member of RNG, and the fact that he's down the bottom lane means WE can take this with confidence. He's actually going back down the bottom lane to farm some solo turret plates again, so that's a big objective to nullify the early aggression that set RNG ahead.
And now the question will be, what will Beisheng do with the Rift Herald? It's an objective that really can blow the game open if you can snowball off the tempo it can deliver for you. If you can get the first tower off of that objective, you really can turn the game in your favor, but it's going to be difficult to find an opportunity without a lot of setup.
Well, at the moment, he's not going to drop it, so we're going to have to wait and see where that actually goes. But at this point in the game, we're just back to the laning phase again. Back to that slow pace, which will build up around the objectives when we see the contest, the fight, right in front of the pits. Very different from IG and Rogue Warriors, where we're fighting over every little thing. It's waiting for those big 5-on-5s that blow this game wide open.
And I want to revisit a topic I brought up earlier. Langjing had a massive freeze up against Morgan in the top lane, and you can see that now reflected in the CS. They were even before that freeze. He's now 15 ahead of Morgan. He's going to be able to crash his wave into the turret and might even be able to deny a lot of the CS from Morgan if he can get some good harass down.
And there's no TP available for Morgan as well, so if we're looking for Morgan to kind of bring back some of that gold with a TP play towards the bottom lane, that's not going to be the case. And no TP towards this Dragon in 45 with such a strong bottom lane. RNG feel like they will be getting this second objective for free.
Nice little stun there onto Plex, but not going to be too much coming out from the trade there. And with Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, we could have some kind of action, but we'll have to wait and see if WE are willing to contest this one. Right now, it's Xiaolong Bao that's in the correct position, but Beishang moving towards the bottom side of the map as well.
Well, Betty is going to see. He's going to back after this, so that's going to be crucial timing. 15 seconds till that Dragon spawning. Beishang in the bottom side of the map, and the bottom lane of WE has reset, but no first item. Xiaohu pushing in with Ming.
Ming looking for a play onto Plex. Forces the flash away, and that's the real flash as well, importantly. Oh, Ming! Not a great flash, and he's going to be punished for that one. Nicely done there by the likes of Beishang, missing getting the kill credit. That's going to open up this Dragon for the side of WE.
Was really nice kiting from Ming, but yeah, the failed flash sucks. So here comes Herald. Here comes WE with control around mid. Means they might actually be able to get the Dragon as well.
Ooh, nearly gets the hook onto Xiaohu. That's going to be a few plates picked up as well. And now they can move over towards the Dragon. Xiaolong Bao started that one off. He realizes he's got to get out of there. Beishang going to be the first one to move on towards the pit. Throws the barrel onto an empty pit there. Xiaolong Bao's going to look for a steal though. Sonic Wave going to land. They'll just slow DPS until that ability has timed out. Then they'll burst down the Dragon, get the objective. Nicely played by WE.
So really crucial pick gone wrong for RNG. That leads to one thing after another. Ming dying there. Gets some of the turret plating over to that mid laner. And also gets the Dragon, but RNG want to capitalize.
Xiaomong cleanses too early, gets rooted anyway, and now the bullet time onto 3 will deter the fight. Can they follow up with anything? Nobody nearby from the rest of the team. And RNG with a failed play.
You can see why RNG are scared of a 2v2, or rather why Misfortune and Nautilus at the moment are such a good duo lane. Because if the Dredge line with the Riptide, with the combo that comes from missing, hits the back line, gets the knock-up, in comes the bullet time, and there's just too much damage to deal with.
Yeah, just absolutely obliterate in a 2v2. And even with Xiaolong Bao coming in, they couldn't get the kick down. They couldn't find a position to get onto Xiaomong. And it means that the play is deterred in the end. And now you can see Xiaolong Bao, he's cleared out his red, so he's moved up towards the top side of the map. And I'm curious if they look to make a play onto Morgan, because Morgan has actually been doing fine, despite being into this Kennen matchup. It is going to be the AP Kennen in the end as the Gunblade comes on out. Although I suppose you can sort of go hybrid. We'll have to see where Langxing wants to go with it. But I expect it to be the AP Kennen. Quite often you see the Gunblade first these days. But I'm impressed by how well Morgan has been doing by keeping up in this lane.
Yeah, after that freeze you were talking about, absolutely. At this point, Morgan as well, he's able to trade pretty effectively with Langxing. But we'll see what happens when he gets that first item now. After 2 wins from WE in a row in this game, after the Ming play mid, after the Dragon, and surviving the 3v2 in the bottom lane, WE have managed to slow this game down a little bit. And RNG are looking for options. This time in the top lane, Xiaolong Bao wants to help a dive.
Oh, flash forward from Langxing. It's going to be a stun on Morgan. It stops his dash. He will be able to flash to safety in the end.
But Xiaolong Bao flashed there as well. He flashed to get the distance towards the Aatrox. So that's 2 for 1. That's another win for WE in a game that should be solely controlled by RNG after that early advantage.
Really, really nice play so far from WE. And being able to just kind of hold out here after, as you say, RNG managed to get the early advantage. The gold lead is only 200 in their favor right now. So really, really nicely done. Let's take another look at the play that happened in the mid lane.
Oh,
Beishang did go down.
Well, I'll take it all back then. So that's RNG getting the jungler. And a good step forward here from Xiaohu with the ultimate just means it's an instant deletion. So, all right, they trade that. Now Xiaohu with open mid says, hey, let's go top.
Morgan doesn't have a flash anymore, and we're going to punish that one. He's going to be all on his lonesome. And Xiaolong Bao takes the kill. I would have liked to see that go to Xiaohu, to be quite honest, but now Beisheng and Plex have arrived. It's 2 versus 3. I don't know if they can win this one out. Trouble Bubble might just stop them escaping.
As well.
Missing, getting aggressed upon. Calibrum going to deal a little damage there. It's Xiaomeng blasting over the wall.
But no ultimate there from Beisheng means RNG can just walk away. And moving to the top side, bit of pressure there.
Here we go, onto Ming now. Solar Flare goes down, onto 2. And Missing, going to be the only one that gets hit by the Moonlight Vigil. Xiaohu now 1v1ing Plex and getting a solo kill. Beisheng trying to follow on up as Zhao Bao over the wall. It's Missing in trouble now. Flash forward from Betty, gets himself a kill onto the enemy supports.
Okay, action everywhere. Bunchables, it's just, we're just heating up this game once again. And I can tell you one thing, RNG in the driver's seat once more. A couple of plays that WE managed to flatten out, but then RNG keep pursuing. They keep doubling down, and it's worked out. Rift Herald here for Xiaolong Bao, and a big gold lead. But Ming, I thought this was too ambitious, because Betty was nowhere near. But it turns out Ming's so tanky, a great stopwatch, which means the bullet time does absolutely nothing. And then Aphelios has Conqueror, plus he has a really, really big gun. And that sucks. A shutdown onto Nautilus. Big Aphelios.
Actually, that's a point we never brought up earlier. In all of the early skirmishes, it was Missing that managed to get the kills. He's the most fed member on the side of WE, which can be great in a skirmish. Obviously, he gets the stone plate early, but it's certainly not ideal. And now Langxing, he's going to be the one that's in a 1 versus 3 as the pressure comes down on towards his bot lane tower. Bear in mind, if this goes down, this will still be the first tower of the game to drop. Plex, though, getting aggressed upon, has to flash away. Beisheng saves him with the explosive cast.
Yeah, but that's a defensive ultimate here from Beisheng around the Ocean Dragon. Morgan doesn't have teleport. RNG are grouped up, so it's either objective or mid. They have their pick of the litter.
Xiaolong Bao drops the Herald in the mid lane. The tower never went down bot. That means RNG will grab the first tower of the game, and it's the most important one too. Cracking open that mid-tier 1 gives you so much freedom on the map.
And they can turn right back around and start this Ocean Dragon as well. So second Dragon looking to be picked up here by RNG, and WE just have to back away.
And I love how when you look at the Dragon area in the minimap, vision control is very much in favor of WE. They have wards everywhere, but it doesn't matter. You can see them taking the Dragon, but there's nothing you can do about it, so who cares?
Who cares? Perfect. Well, RNG care because it's an Ocean Rift. Now, I'm going to say one thing here. Because you have a split-pushing Kennen who's in a decent position, because you have an Aphelios, Ocean Dragon feels extra good for them. Like Langxing in this trade, I think the Ocean Dragon means he just won't die.
Yeah, I mean,
depends, but you know what I mean.
Maybe not the first one, but certainly a soul if it gets to that
what
point.
I'm talking about.
I'm not sure the first one's going to make that much difference. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It does give a lot of regen.
Thank you.
I can't argue with that. And Ming as well on the Leona.
You're making me sound smarter. I appreciate it.
It's the way that you say, well, I will say one thing.
It's the least important
It feels like I'm talking to my granddad and he's about to give me an anecdote about the war.
Or you're talking to your granddad about League of Legends and he's just trying to throw things and see if you bite onto them, you know? It's like, just trying. You know, like, you know when your parents get like an Apple phone or something and they go up and they say, you know, I've got an Apple. And you go, yeah, which one?
Oh, you know, the one from Steve Jobs.
The Steve Jobs Apple.
But Mum, Steve Jobs is dead.
Silly boomers, you know. Well, this game, I tell you what, WE, coming back to it, it doesn't feel like they're out of it yet. There's been a lot committed towards this early game and a lot of ultimates used defensively, a lot of trading back and forth. And while RNG seem to be pushing the pace up, WE aren't in the worst position. But I'm going to hold my thought because I might be wrong.
Here we go, Ming looking for the dive onto Morgan. Not going to find it. The tower will go down in the bottom lane. But there is a bit of a collapse coming out from WE. Missing and Xiaomeng want to find the fight here, but a little bit too late on the play. And it means that RNG will be able to back away. Missing, going to try and bait it out by looking for the control ward. And Ming's going to buy onto the bait. Beisheng going to be behind them. That's the wrong barrel, mate. That's not going to force anything.
Well, RNG can't fight without Betty. He's in the mid lane. He's now been spotted out, so WE move for the aggressive play towards the bottom side. But Betty's just going to stay there. I mean, Plex probably can't match him at this point because Aphelios will solo kill with the Infinity Edge. But hey, that's a trade-off of turrets. That's a good pickup by WE. And if they are trading at this point in the game, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty happy with that one as RNG finish off the top lane tier 1. So WE slightly behind in this game still. 2,000 gold lead. There's a Drake advantage for RNG, and they finished off all of the tier 1s. However, that mid lane turret is going to be incredibly low for the side of RNG, so WE might just be able to finish that one off and even things up in a couple of minutes' time. But as we take a look at the compositions, let's revisit what we said towards the start of the game. This comp from RNG, very good at skirmishing, very good at team fighting.
Yep.
Very impactful ultimates, and if you can set Betty up with the stuns coming out from Xiaohu, Ming, and Langjing, then Betty can just pop off in these fights. Now he's got his Hurricane as well. He'll be able to deal a lot more AoE damage and clear up the health bars from the side of WE.
Especially at this point, that level 11 Aphelios is going to be absolutely punishing. I want to take a quick look as well, because on the side of WE, almost towards the 2-item Aatrox, and that will be important. I mean, Morgan has the teleport available. Morgan is splitting towards the bottom side right now. And if we do set up for this Baron fight, the Aatrox getting into the backline, dealing whatever amounts of damage to Xiaohu, to Betty, could change the pace of this game.
And it feels like we're seeing a different version. Oh, here we go. Plex is going to go down here. Xiaolong Bao grabs himself the kill. That was the unleashed power, though, from Xiaohu. Big ultimate used, and Beishang interrupts the Sonic Wave from Xiaolong Bao, missing. Flashes to safety, but the Blast Cone is there from Beishang to save his support.
The pick potential from RNG is so good at this point in the game. With the 2-item Syndra, she just presses R, and then that's the skill check, apparently. So top lane wave going to get shoved into the turret. Baron is going to get encroached with vision from RNG. A lot of danger here for WE.
I really like the build from Xiaohu as well, understanding that he doesn't need that much damage in his build. He's able to go for the Banshee's Veil second, and it means that Plex basically loses all of his kill pressure in that mid lane matchup. If he tries to get a Trouble Bubble onto Xiaohu, it's just going to be deflected by the passive on the Banshee's Veil. So, nice little pickup. Understands he can still burst people anyway.
Colonel says, thumbs up for RNG. Our robotic chicken Colonel. We had chicken just before this, but it was the wrong brand. But we don't say that.
An unnamed brand.
An unnamed brand. A big competitor.
Well, I don't know. I didn't. I certainly would never.
You would never betray the Colonel, would you?
Certainly not.
No.
Not the Robo-Colonel.
The Robo-Colonel.
You don't want to face his wrath.
Are you ready for another fight in front of Dragon? Because I think we're going for it.
I'm ready, Apathetics. I'm ready for this one. Beishang is too. Dragon down to 2,000 HP, and they're going to decide to burst this one in. W with 2 Drakes now. Explosive cast onto Xiaolong Bao. And it's a good start to the fight for WE. In goes Langjing, though, and bursts Plex down. Xiaomeng going to try and trade it, but he's just not going to be able to do anything. Has to dash on into the brush. Langjing goes golden as Morgan can't do anything on the back line. It's a pretty spread out fight, and it's a 3v3 now. As Ming and Xiaohu look for more into Beishang. It's going to be a 2-for-2.
Well, the fight shouldn't have been that even. So good for WE to find what they found. But the explosive cask onto the backline, onto Xiaolong Bao. Cracked open RNG's jungler. And now we're left with a reset after the Ocean, I believe, went over to the Gragas to WE.
Yeah, so even Drakes now. It's a good pickup for WE considering how even the fight went as well. And you can see Morgan in this fight in a minute or so. Will jump over, tries to get into the backline and do a lot, but not really able to have the impact that we've seen in previous games. Langjing, though, just deletes Plex.
And while this is good from Langjing, the coordination here is Betty is away from the fight. The Aphelios, who is the most fed member of RNG, isn't in it till the last moment when Morgan jumps the backline. So for WE, they're able to separate and spread apart RNG because Betty is not there.
And I hadn't realized the first time, Morgan actually saves Xiaomeng's life there because he manages to get the knock-up onto Xiaohu as the Scatter of the Week goes through. If he hadn't got that tiny little knock-up, Xiaohu would have been able to finish off with a Q, take out Xiaomeng, and we could be looking at a very different game state.
Because Xiaohu is so damn fed at this point as well, so really good analysis there, my new color. Morgan is, again, you know, that flanking potential for WE. And while they used it well, the rest of the fight couldn't go on because as Betty got closer towards it, WE walked away. So WE still with a very influential trade here in this second game, but we're getting closer towards that Baron. We're getting closer towards knowing who's going to get the soul. And we need more fights like that from WE where they can create space and pick them off one by one.
Banshee's Veil now going to be matched in the mid lane as Plex going to pick that item up for himself as well. But you can see Xiaohu now heading towards a death cap. He wants damage. He wants to be able to just click R onto Xiaomeng every single fight and look for that instant kill.
I want to see another fight. You know what? 13 kills? That's not my LPL.
I mean, we've had some pretty good games so far today. I feel like it's rough to complain about the one slower game. But
and you know what? Like with top at LGD coming up next,
it's going to be a bloodbath.
It's probably going to be a bloodbath, yeah. But there's no time to talk about meta. We have changed a little bit. I said this at the start of broadcast. 10.1 was a very slow time for the LPL where we saw like 5-10 kills, 30 to 40 minute games, and one team fight decides all. Well, this is similar, but the way RNG and WE have been playing this series so far is lots of little skirmishes around neutral objectives. And games really accelerating by this 20-30 minute mark.
You see Missing's picture? He's like holding his earlobe.
Sounds like, yeah. Oh, okay, like the ping. I get it. Is that what you're trying to insinuate? Was that just having a really bad moment?
What?
Missing ping. So, I'm going to tell you something. Last time I saw WE play, I went through their VODs. And we're going to pause. No. No, we are going to pause. Wait.
The support system traded abilities here. Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Huge damage onto Ming, who goes into the back line, but everything used and nothing gained. That's nice play from Missing, though, to protect his team from the likes of Lang Xing. Morgan wants his way into the fight. We've seen him 1v4 before. It's not going to happen against RNG here. Betty charging on forwards with the Severum. He's got Infernum as well, so the AoE damage will be available. But we're just going to trade support for support here.
Another even trade. I mean, WE are making this game looking quite even at this point, I would say. And because of support, we'll just reset. We'll set up towards the dragon. RNG have priority with their vision, but they're not backing yet. WE are preparing for this next objective, and they think RNG are too. But Xiaohu's still here.
Xiaohu's looking for more as Betty clears out the pit. And complete map control right here for RNG. They control the Baron and they control the Dragon simultaneously. Missing's been found, but the damage just isn't there. And that's the downside of picking up the Banshee's Veil right. If you find the wrong target, you're not going to have the damage to finish him off. He needs to find Xiaomeng, he needs to find Plex.
And that's an ult. That's the hose down for a little while as well from the mid laner of RNG. They're going to head towards this Dragon, but look at where WE are. They have the Aatrox with teleport. They're getting positioning around this Baron. But do they take it with Missing so low? They can test it, or do they look for the pick?
Yeah, the biggest problem is that they don't really have enough damage to just rush down a Baron. That's one of the downsides of picking this Zoe. Obviously, you have great pick potential, but you don't have sustained damage. You don't have consistent damage. Like, you want something like... I mean, Syndra's pretty good. You want something like the Cassiopeia, ideally, to just burst through the health bar. Not really what Zoe's designed for. Great leading up to a Baron, though. Great for trying to find a pick before a Baron has started.
True. And at this point, then it just looks like setting up for a pick here from WE. Clearing out vision, getting towards that objective, making sure RNG, research and development, don't burn it down.
The newest team in the LPL.
R&D versus RNG.
And their rivals, quality control.
That is a joke for you intellectuals, you 500Q savants out there.
500Q.
Wow.
The irony of messing that joke up.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's beautiful. Here we go. Red Buff going to be picked up by Betty. And now we start the tiptoe around Baron as we're at 30 minutes into this game.
Let's do this again. Are you ready?
Zhao, who wants the blue buff. He's not going to find it, though. I think Plex might be gifted this one over by his teammates. Nope, never mind. Xiaomeng is like, I want this one. This one's for me.
And around the dance of Baron they go. RNG reset, come back into the mid lane. We've got 3 items on Betty now with a QSS. So Sleepy Trouble Bubble, not going to be that effective getting onto the 80 carry of RNG. Rabadon's now picked up by Xiaohu as well. So that burst we saw before out of missing, it's going to be a lot more successful. In a way, he's got Locket now as well.
Morella Nomicon finished up for Langjing as well. So Morgan going to have a bit more of a tough time in these fights. It's more difficult for him to just charge into the backline and do whatever he wants, as his sustain will be reduced. I know a lot of analysts out there have very strong opinions on finishing a Morella Nomicon. I don't feel qualified to join that debate.
I'm not jumping into this. No way am I debuting my color with a Morella Nomicon discussion. I like both items. Both items are good.
Leandri's is fine, Morella Nomicon is fine, okay?
Let's get both. You know, why not? But let's start Baron.
And that's what RNG say, because they got the Dragon before, and now they're onto the Baron as well. In the meantime, WE slow to the punch. Be just about arriving now. Bear in mind, there's a teleport coming from Morgan. It is very deep into the jungle. Langjing could be the target. He's not been spotted just yet.
Here he comes.
I hope he's ready to 1v4. He's going to have to for now. Bullet time is huge! And WE find the fight. Now onto Xiaolong Bao. Dashes away onto a ward. WE punish the aggressive Baron play.
Waiting to see it. He doesn't hit Betty. Goes for Xiaohu instead, and the target selection is perfect. Now the team that didn't want to touch Baron have started it, and RNG need to 3v5 or back away.
Look at the plays coming out from WE, and it's Morgan once again gets the flank, and now he's onto Langjing. Slicing Maelstrom is a lot of damage, but he's got the stopwatch to keep himself alive. Ignite onto Xiaolong Bao. He goes down by Aphelios. Gets season 10.
Holy moly. And the Baron's off, but now back on for RNG. Langjing's looking for Plex.
Plex is in trouble, and Langjing will finish this one off comfortably. The return damage isn't there. Baron will go the way of RNG after all that. The damage is very much there for an Aphelios.
What in 200 years did I just witness from Betty? Clean, crisp execution from RNG. They turn it back around behind the pit. Baron is theirs after WE made it look like we could be going to a game 3.
Oh, it felt like something magical for just a second. The flank comes out from Morgan. It feels like maybe. Just maybe. I mean, look at the play. Look at the knockups.
So I want to talk about this because Betty has his summoners available. So does Xiaohu. But most importantly, Morgan waits until Betty's away from the fight. We're going to have a look at the back end of this replay here. But how did this happen? Really good ultimate coming through from the cannon. But Betty presses ult and autos. And blue flame goes everywhere.
And the worst part about it is Xiaomeng literally flashed over the wall to get into the fight as he arrives, and then just gets obliterated on impact. Look at the damage.
Oh, that's so stupid.
For goodness sake.
When you get such good picks onto Xiaohu and Ming where they're not able to actually enter the fight, and then that's the turnaround.
Here's the thing, right? Obviously, we're memeing it up a bit because Aphelios is incredibly strong, but it's just like Orianna, right? If you've got an Orianna's going to do super well when you have 3 members that just completely stack up. He's not the only champion that does good AoE damage. Yes, he's a little overtuned in my opinion, but ultimately, this is a mistake from WE to stack up like that. They can see that he's got the Infernum available, and they still play right into it.
And he's got 6 kills now. I mean, before he was still very fed. The game started with a big double kill going over to Betty, so he had the items. And now he's been facilitated even more. RNG gonna give themselves an Ocean Soul to this same Aphelios.
Yeah, the soul comes on through. We talked about it days ago, it feels like now, but the sustain will be there in the fights. It's going to be that much more difficult for WE to finish off any kills. However, Beishang did just get a whole bunch of value out of that Morella Nomicon pickup.
Yeah, it's very true. And people are still critiquing it, apparently. Bottom line, though, I'm gonna bring us back away because you keep trying to send me over that cliff, and I'm not going. Baron push with no, don't care. Don't even say the item name. This is a quick shot from RNG. This is RNG with Baron. 3 people bot. Look at where Morgan and Beishang are. They're nowhere near to defend.
That's good damage onto Xiaomeng. Betty knows how to use that Calibrum to great effect. He's going to wait, use another Q. Well, won't quite find it though. But the siege begins now, and there's very little wave clear on the side of WE. It's going to be very difficult for them to break the siege. Bottom lane inhibitor tower drops already, and the inhib will fall. Ming maybe looking for a fight here. He's going to get hooked in himself. Aftershock is going to keep him so safe, and Xiaomeng obliterated by Xiaolongbao. And that might just be the game here as Beishang has to use his stopwatch, but he'll be finished off by Betty, who's diving the Nexus towers. Morgan locked up and taken down. Another mid-inhib is going to fall as Plex just sprints out of the base on
Get me out of this game.
He's playing distraction, but it's not
saying.
going to do anything. Betty finishing off the base. They're going to chase for Plex. He's got a Banshee, so he can't do anything. But the Nexus will fall. And RNG, it's a slow and a clean win for the 2-0.
I tell you what, one thing I've learnt here tonight is that a really good first pick is that 80 carry known as Aphelios, but that harps on it a bit too much. Clean play from RNG across this series. And against WE, we asked at the start, who was a better team fighting team when we're seeing brilliances or flashes of brilliance like we did from Xie and Mystic back in this WE roster? At the moment, the answer is no. RNG still the firm favourites for team fighting in the LPL.
Yeah, phenomenal performance coming out from RNG and just clean play as well. That's what we like to see from a team like RNG, because especially when you're a team that focuses around skirmishing, around team fighting, it's important to be able to get clean wins on the board. I mean, you can see by the goal graph, obviously it was relatively one-sided. There is that trough towards the end where WE did make the play around Baron, and it felt like it could have been magical.
And it was such a good pick. It was a great flank from Morgan. And like in the last series, I do want to compliment the losing team, this time in WE. Morgan came into his stride a little bit in that game too. He caught back up in the lead, gained early by Lung Xing. I think we saw some good moments from Plex there as well on the Zoe. But when you go skill for skill, when you go toe-to-toe with these laners of RNG, at the end of the day, it just seems like experience is winning out.
Yeah, and it's when you get to these late-game decision-making moments as well, when you get to things like the Baron play, a less experienced team than RNG might not know that they're able to turn things around and go for the follow-up fight after losing the early engagement around the Baron. They make the play happen, though, and those kind of moments, those are the kind of moments that win tournaments.
Yeah, they really do. And for a team like RNG, you know, they are looking towards winning the LPL Spring. Like, that's their expectation right now, because a team like RNG, you don't sit back and say, no, we're happy with the top 8 position. Like every split, and especially since winning MSI in 2018, RNG have been one of the champion teams in the LPL. They want to win more titles. They want to go to international events. That's what this team is about, with or without Uzi.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit at the start about WE, about their roster, who were the stars, and it was very much Morgan in the conversation. He's had a little bit more of a rough matchup here, obviously against a much harder team to play against, and he's been tested, and it's shown that, you know, he still has some work to do, but I still think that he showed a lot of promise in this game, especially with that flank around Baron. I'm excited for what Morgan may have against some of the middle-of-the-table teams.
Let's not forget that Morgan is very inexperienced in comparison to Lung Xing. Lung Xing, also known as Xiao Al, was the top laner for Suning for quite a while. He was the franchise player alongside Hacker, who had been there really since the start of the roster. Lung Xing, by no means, even though we lash out on him sometimes, saying he's the weakest part of this RNG roster, he is still a very experienced top laner, one that is facilitating RNG quite well in the light of Uzi not being here, and is winning out his lane.
Especially in this series today, you have to say that he was one of the standout players, especially in game number 1, took the Aatrox to the mid lane instead, and very much snowballed the game, very much managed to find himself early wins, early plays, and obviously he had a little bit of help from the friends, you know. We did have Charlotte Bao and Ming gank and re-gank him 3 times in a row. But it was after an early skirmish. He'd already got the lead. They were just doubling down on it.
Yeah, look, I mean, between Xiaohu and Lung Xing, you know, there's a lot of help between them. I think, especially for Xiaohu, this game, it was just more, let's get back into the mid lane, like we did in game 1. So I'm convinced that this without Uzi again, sound like a broken record, that the focus for RNG right now is through the mid lane. Is that hitting that mid lane, no matter who's there, is the easiest way to access and access a strong early game from RNG. And Xiaolongbao constantly abused it in both games in this series.
So I do want to revisit one other thing that we talked about right at the very start of the day.
Go for it.
This is the team without Uzi, right? This is RNG that has been built entirely around Uzi. That's the story. It has been for years at this point. They're playing without him, obviously, due to he doesn't play before Chinese New Year, and then that's obviously been extended now. Betty has been playing exceptionally, though, especially when we saw him on the affiliates in game number 2. Unbelievable play around the Baron pit, getting the triple kill for himself. But also, pretty much consistently, we've seen a lot of MF out of him. His bullet times have been great. His positioning has been great. I've been really impressed by the stand-in on the side of RNG.